What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined this morning by Daniel Starkand. Here to ask the question everybody's asking, Daniel. Michael Conforto is a Dodger, but what does this mean for Teoscar Hernández? It's a sensitive subject in LA, but I understand, Daniel, that there's a lot of people that on first glance see the Dodgers signing a corner outfielder, and they're concerned that the beloved Teoscar Hernández is going to be gone. I'll ask with the most obvious, simple question. Is it that straightforward?
No, not at all. Honestly, I don't think the two are related much, if we're being honest here. Like, one is a lefty, one's a righty. The Dodgers need multiple outfielders, especially if, like, they said Mookie's gonna play the infield, second base, shortstop, whatever that means. That means that both corner spots are unaccounted for, even if you say Edman's the everyday center fielder, which is no guarantee anyways. But the Dodgers need outfielders. We know that. We knew that coming into the offseason. Like, we've talked about different options. Like, we knew Teoscar was always option number one. Like, I'm taking Juan Soto out of this just because I don't think any of us ever expected the Dodgers to actually get Juan Soto. So we knew Teoscar was, option number one. And we've been talking about other options as well. In addition to that, we talked Jock Peterson. We knew they needed that left-handed platoon type outfield bat, and Michael Conforto absolutely fits that box. But I still think the Dodgers need another outfielder, so I think they're very much still in the mix for Teoscar.
By the way, on Juan Soto, Ken Rosenthal, I believe, reporting this morning that the Dodgers offer was $600 million to Juan Soto. So they were swimming in the waters, not quite Steve Cohen deep though.
Yeah, they were still in the shallow end, I'd say, if that's what their offer was at.
Yeah. But I agree completely with you. And we got this question a lot on the live show that Matt and I did on Sunday night, which was how these two things are linked. And I understand why somebody is like, well, shoot, the Dodgers signed a corner outfielder and for $17 million, this isn't backup money that they're paying him. So surely there's some connection. Fabian Ardaya, Ken Rosenthal have both reported that the Dodgers are still in, according to sources, on Teoscar Hernández. And I think the point you made is the key one. If you look at the way that the Dodgers lineup and roster currently sets up, I think there's room for it. I'm going to throw a quick graphic up here that's, not the most professionally made graphic in the history of the world. But if you look at the Dodgers' current structure of their roster, this would be where things are at currently. Ohtani DH, Smith, Freeman, Lux, Betts, Muncy in the infield, Conforto, Edman, and Andy Pages in the outfield, with the bench of Austin Barnes, Miguel Rojas, Chris Taylor, and an empty spot currently sitting there. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are high on Andy Pages. I think a lot of people on our show are high on Andy Pages, but do we really want to go into a season with Conforto, Edman, Pages, and Chris Taylor as the only four viable outfielders not named Mookie Betts? Obviously, Dalton Rushing could be in this conversation, who's played like a month worth of outfield at AAA. And so I think when you look at this group, you can see very quickly, Daniel, where Teoscar Hernández fits if they were to re-sign him and he slots into left field. Pages fills the empty spot on the bench. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a roster that makes sense. You've got some guys at AAA, whether it be James Outman, whether it be Dalton Rushing, that could kind of come up and fill a spot if necessary. Kike Hernandez is still a free agent who, if Chris Taylor or Gavin Lux, somebody like that is moved, could be a fit. But all of a sudden, I think you have a roster that starts to make more sense here. And you could see some of the platoons as well. If Gavin Lux is a Dodger, we know he's been very, very good against right-handed pitching and very, 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 very bad against left-handed pitching. And so if there's a left-hander in the game, then Gavin Lux can come off of the field. Mookie Betts can slide over. Tommy Edman can move to shortstop. And all of a sudden, Andy Pages is in there to hit lefties. So you can see, Daniel, when you look at the roster like this, how the Conforto signing and the Teoscar signing may not, as you said, be linked.
100%. And you just kind of broke it down. Like, they're going to make at least one more addition. Like, whether it's Teoscar or not, like, we'll see. Like, everything we've heard, the Dodgers are very serious about Teoscar. But also, at the end of the day, like, going back to your first question here, like, I don't think the Conforto signing, affects Teoscar at all. I think maybe Soto signing with the Mets for the amount he did might have an effect, just because there are some other teams who struck out on Soto who have to turn their attention elsewhere now. And I do think Teoscar is a prime candidate, for teams like the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, like all these teams, their offers for Teoscar, may have just gone up just because now, they're kind of desperate and whatnot. So if you're the Dodgers, are you willing to go to a fourth year, for Teoscar? Because that's what it might take at this point, like a 480, 490 type of deal. I don't know exactly how much he's looking for, what he's going to get, but I would imagine, we were talking kind of like 360 at the beginning of the offseason for a deal that kind of makes sense for both sides. I would guess, that number went up either in the AAV a little bit or the year.
Yeah, and I actually wonder if we're looking at something closer to 4 and 100. Like I wonder if he's going to get that 25 million a year. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hear this and say, "You guys think he's going to make less next year than he made last year?" Well, keep in mind he is 32 years old now, so you're paying for a guy that obviously we expect age 32 season, age 33 season probably to be productive offensively. The defense isn't going to be a plus necessarily. You hope that they can get it to neutral, but that's part of the Teoscar Hernández experience is you're getting a guy who's not exactly built to be playing the outfield. And again, is getting older. So I think he probably can match what he made last year, 25 million. To your point though, 3 years, 4 years, like if the number is 4 years, 100 million, and I think there's a chance it's higher than that. But if that's the number, Daniel, how much trepidation do you have about putting that contract in front of Teoscar Hernández, assuming he has it offered from somewhere else?
Yeah, it's definitely a little worrisome. I'm not gonna lie. Like we all love Teoscar. He's you've talked about this a lot. Like as far as someone who came over for 1 year, like there's not really anyone else that's as beloved as him. Like I guess you could put Shohei Ohtani in that same box, but he's his own separate thing. I feel like so. But like I'm not gonna lie here. There is worries of as far as how is Teoscar gonna age, and of course, he was coming off a rough year in Seattle, which can be accounted for as far as the fact that he was so bad at home and a lot better on the road. But at the same time, his profile, very high, swing and miss guy, obviously has a ton of power, but those aren't usually the guys that age super well. And you mentioned the defense as well. So yeah, going to that 4th year would be a little worrisome, but I still think at the end of the day, like you want to get this done. And if you have to give an extra year, so be it. I will say, Teoscar has shown a willingness to kind of play ball. Like he took deferrals in his 1-year contract. Yeah. So I would imagine whatever new contract he signs, there's probably going to be deferrals in that one as well. Like he's mentioned how much he wants to be a Dodger. So maybe if their offers a little less than the Red Sox or something, like maybe he'll be willing to come back. But I don't think he's going to take some huge hometown discount. So if you're the Dodgers, you probably will have to go to that 4th year or add a little, AAV on a 3-year deal, whatever the case may be. Like I would just say that the offer now is going to have to be a little more than it was pre-Soto, but I still think that was kind of expected all along. Yeah. Like I think everyone pretty much anticipated that Teoscar would wait out Soto just because there's going to be so many more interested teams after that whole saga is over. But I still think the Dodgers are in a good spot here, but they're probably going to have to get a little uncomfortable as far as their offer goes.
Yeah, and one thing that the Dodgers, it's weird to say Shohei Ohtani in some way is a disadvantage, but if there is one quote-unquote disadvantage to having Shohei Ohtani, it's that you know who your designated hitter is going to be for the next decade. And so there's probably other teams out there when they pursue Teoscar Hernández that can map out in their head, hey, 2 years in left field and 2 years as a DH, here's your 4-year deal. The Dodgers are going to have to play Teoscar in the field for the entirety of whatever contract is in front of him. And so whether they try and get a shorter year with a higher shorter contract with higher AAV or what remains to be seen. But I said on last night's show, Daniel, I still think the Dodgers are the favorites for Teoscar Hernández. If you ask me to pick where he signs, I think the Dodgers would be the team I would pick. Are you still in the same boat?
Yeah, I'm still in that same boat as well.
So let us know what you guys think below. Again, we are both saying we don't think the Conforto signing is any reason for concern. The Dodgers were going to sign 2 outfielders all along. They got one, and a pretty good one at that. But Teoscar Hernández, there is still room for you in left field. And so I'm sure the Dodgers, Andrew Friedman, as the winter meetings have officially begun, are working on a deal with Teoscar and at least discussing the parameters of one at the very least. That is Daniel Starkand. I am Jeff Spiegel. Folks, let us know what you think in the comments below. A, is Teoscar Hernández going to sign with the Dodgers? And B, I'd love some thoughts on Michael Conforto. He's a guy that nobody's really talking about because the conversation so quickly shifts to Teoscar Hernández.
I meant to ask you, he's an Oregon State Beaver, so I'm surprised, a little surprised you're this high on Conforto.
Yeah, we're fine. Oregon State baseball is not like Oregon now has a baseball team. Oregon State from the Ducks is like, they're great. It's a little brother over there. We root for the little in-state, person down the street. They're like, not in a major conference anymore. I'm going to say that as delicately as I possibly can. Oregon State fans would not be saying this in the other direction necessarily, but Yeah, no issue with Michael Conforto, the Beaver there. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, check out DodgerBlue.com for a full write-up. And of course, stay tuned here because if and when Teoscar Hernandez signs a contract, we will have it for you here. That is Daniel. I am Jeff. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. As always, go Dodgers.